focusing on the unique nature of the black experience, marginalizes the other minority groups, and reifies the black-white binary. Specifically, we talked about things like cross-sex during our speeches about how when we use the slave ship in the middle passage as the crux of the discussion over blackness and whiteness. I'm not really sure where that implicates me as a Mexican. I can't informatively engage in burning the ship like they asked me because I don't relate to the ship in the same way that Africans do, obviously. It's their characterization of what makes us human or non-human is based solely on the standpoint of the African and European history. This binary of this blackness to me is not a slave ship. It's probably like a border fence. They shouldn't have shaped their revolutionary potential around culture and images only to involve that only involve two races, such as the slave ship. If breaking down whiteness and destructive ontologies really is their goal, because this, even if this isn't, even if there's an underlying message that yes, I realize they're not. Actually, I'll get to that in a sec. They asked why I can't join in on burning the ship. This rhetoric is problematic. Yes, I realize you're not talking about a physical ship. I realize there's an underlying message to this. What my point is that these kind of images exclude other races on the outside from this kind of discussion, because you use images and have discussion over topics that I necessarily don't relate to in the same way as Africans do. As a Mexican, I didn't hear you talking about the border police in your evidence when you were talking about being police and things like that, or about what it is to live under whiteness or blackness if you're from southern Texas or New Mexico or Southern California. Their slave ship isn't my slave ship. This is the problem that I'm trying to address with their evidence of how this is how it creates the black-white binary. Yeah. Moving on. Also, this also takes out in the context of their role of the ballot, which is that we should watch burn the ship. If we win, that the pure imagery or the discussion over using over these cultural images, these topics that exclude races on the outside, if you prove that's bad, that means you should not prefer the role of the ballot, and you should just vote for the team that best ends war against a non-human animal. Also, they also said I'm just trying to commodify my identity. No, just because I'm talking about how I don't understand how I probably relate to your advocacy isn't commodifying my identity. That's probably an actual concern that should be contested, whether or not we should characterize things like movements like being anti-whiteness as being purely something based on the slave ship rather than the border patrol. What? It's basically it's a solvency takeout argument, and their discursive approaches shape scholarship and practice. This is Luna 2003. Paradigms influence our understanding of knowledgeable interpretations of race. There are no exceptions. Paradigms determine what important information is relevant. The black-white barriers, the limits and analytics concerning race, exclusively the black contributors. The paradigms the most influential shaping the understanding of the race ethnicity. The common thread is that race consists of primarily white and blackens the paradigm that limits the relevance of race include only the experiences of blacks and whites, experiences of other communities. This student's understanding of mirrors incomplete texts of which they read. As long as scholarship and completely written students will reflect on these flaws. The black and white descriptions of Mexicans, Asians, and other groups is less effective because none of the presumptions associated with slavery imposed on these ethnicities. The omission of the struggles to suggest that none of it suffered. The assertion that blacks uniquely associated with slavery influence subsequent discrimination exclusively focuses on the black experience, omitting the experience of others. And this paradigm actively places non-black minorities as aliens within society. That's a result of racial exclusion and socially constructs multiple threats. This is Luke 5. The black-white paradigm is further complicated by the racial groups by constructing them as aliens. Non-black racial minorities is the notion of foreignness given American-born non-whites were somehow foreign racialized identification allowed for otherwise unlawful actions to be taken. Law actively constructs them. These boundaries of the nation continue to be constructed through the excluding of certain groups. Discourses against terrorism rests on the image of anti-democracy, relies on separating itself from the Middle Eastern territory. The yellow peril this policy continued the exclusion and moderate generates a vicious cycle that fails to increase security. Paradigm can be challenged by acknowledgement of existence and rejecting their description of race in terms of black-white binary paradigm is allows to scrutinize the critical scholarship on race. That's key to contest the broader and multifaceted organizations of diverse forms of racial oppression. This is Prairie 97. The point which critical theory demonstrates the shortcomings of the current understandings of societal structures. The extent to which critical theory is focused on race is tightly bound by the black-white binary paradigm. The normal science of race and culture specifies the inquiry the relationship between blacks and whites and the exclusive aspect of the race relations. As a result, in the history and information concerning other racialized groups is simply omitted. The mission's extraordinarily damaged by the enables the people to maintain stereotypes. And scholars encourage readers to ignore the experiences of other Americans who are also subject to racism in powerful ways. It is time to ask hard questions about leading writers on race in the midst of profound demographic changes. Time to question whether or not the black-white binary paradigm of race fits into our highly varied population and normal sciences of writing on race and odds in which history and demographic realities needs to be working, and discourse on civil rights movement focuses on the black-white paradigm, uniquely focuses on the black-white paradigm. In 2003, a number of authors have the relative lack of attentiveness to Mexicans and Mexican Americans received by academics and popular media alike. Discussions concerning discrimination, race, ethnicity, and the United States are no exception. Indeed, the civil rights movement and discourse on race, ethnic reasons is most inextricably intertwined and exclusively focused on the contributions and experience of blacks. Some of the authors affirm the feature of the race ethnicity in relation to the black-white paradigm. And the Frank Wilderson, who uniquely is a central tenet of his, is the idea of the black-white paradigm that I criticized in my speech, Burke of 2011. Wilderson's central tenet is the impossibility of analyzing the suffering of black people without any other race or group of people, since the continuation of Jewish violence and characterized the black existence now found nowhere else in history. Before Wilderson, in contrast, does not go through. Sorry.
He is confused.
In contrast to the black and white essential as essential positioning of the white creation of the process, and the situation is polarizing the relationship between whites and blacks, masters and slaves, can only be considered as an antagonism. Oh, no, I ended my speech, sorry.
Oh, okay.
I just unplugged my computer, forgot there's no battery in it, so that's...